Hello, in this video I will show you how to install Node.js and NPM. NPM comes with Node.js, so all we need to do is just go to the official Node.js website, which is located at nodejs.org, and then you would pick either current version or long-term support version. So 8, it's also a long-term support version. Every even version such as 4, 6, 8, they are long-term support versions. That's the version that you would want to use in your production and also most of your applications, unless you want to experiment with more cutting-edge odd versions such as 7 and 9 and 11 in the future. So let's pick the current version, which is 8, and the download will start automatically. It will determine your system. It also says your system here and in the message. So my system is macOS 64-bit. If for some reason that didn't happen, you can always go to Downloads and manually pick your operation system, your OS, such as Windows, Mac, or you can also pick the source code. Once you get the source code, you can follow the instructions how to compile into the binary code from source code. They also provide you the installations for the Docker, Linux, Sun OS, and some other Linux versions as well. So you have an options of 32 bits, 64 bits for Windows, and then only 64 for macOS. So the current version, LTS, it's still supported. Version 6 is going to be soon dropped. That comes with NPM version 3. I recommend installing at least version 8, which comes with NPM version 5. And then in a few months, we will have version 9 and version 11 as well. And version 10 would be the next long-term support after version 8. Once you installed using the installer, which is the easiest way, you would have this command node available in your system. So node v or node -- version will confirm that you have the proper version. In this course, we're using version 8. If you are watching this course a few years from now, I hope you do, because a lot of this material will be still relevant even if you're using Node.js version 10 or 12 or 14 or 16. We are learning fundamentals, so they're not going to change. And what is convenient, we would also install NPM alongside with Node.js. So Node.js counts with NPM. The NPM, it's a Node package manager. It's baked into the Node.js. So really you don't have an option, but also it's a convenient thing because you have NPM already. And it shows that I have version 5. If you're using version 3, probably you'd be okay. Version 4, you'd be okay. Future versions, most likely you'll be okay too, but below version 2, I do not recommend. So if you have older versions, go and install newer versions. If you never had NPM, even better. It comes with Node, go and install Node. So that's it for the Node installation. What about MongoDB? So you can follow the links in the course, or you can go to this URL, mongodb.com, and you click on the community server, which means it's basically a development version. It's a free version for anyone to use. And again, it automatically will detect my system based on my browser. So it goes into OS X, OS 10, but I can manually download another version such as Windows or Linux. So you have an option of downloading just the zip file. You would unpack it into any folder you want to have this MongoDB installation, and then you can manually link it. So by clicking here, installation instructions, you would have all the information needed to follow along those lines. So this is a manual step. So you unpack the zip archive, you copy it into some folder, remember that folder name, and then you would expose the path into your path environment variable. Typically it's a bashrc. I'm using ZSH, so it will be in the ZSHRC. And then don't forget you would need to also configure your data folder if you're doing the manual setup, or you would need to provide that folder manually. I prefer to use brew if you are on macOS. macOS has the support for brew, but of course you need to install brew before you can use it. So you can just click, you can search for install brew on Mac, and typically it's just one command line. So you can execute this command line just to have the brew, and then you can go back to this command, brew install MongoDB, and that will install your MongoDB. This is not the package, this is the database itself. This is how you would create the folder, the data folder. And keep in mind, it needs to have proper permissions. So it cannot be root, because when you're running your server, you're not going to run it as root. Most likely it's going to be under your user. So make sure you have the proper permissions on this /data/db folder. And that's pretty much it. So you have a few options of installing MongoDB. I recommend brew if you're on macOS, and then you have the manual fallback, or you have also instructions how to install it on Windows and Linux. So we're not going to replicate the instructions, because if they change, the best way is to go to the official mongodb.com documentation and follow the instructions. So that's it. You would need Node, NPM, and MongoDB. MongoDB the server, and then later we will install modules, but for now that's all good, so you are ready to continue.